Hello. A few days ago, I opened my Bible at random and I came to Matthew 27, verses 39 to 54. This is an account of the Crucifixion. Verses 39 to 40 speak about the mocking words of passers-by, priests, scribes, elders, and the two thieves crucified with Jesus. And verses 51 to 54 speak about the miraculous signs that accompanied his death and made the Roman soldiers say, "Truly, this was the Son of God." But I want to focus on some of the verses in between, 46 and 47, and then 49 and 50. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani." That is to say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Some of them that stood there when they heard that said, "This man calleth for Elias." And then in verse 48, one person gave Jesus vinegar on a sponge to drink. The rest said, "Let be. Let us see whether Elias will come to save him." Jesus, when he had cried again with a loud voice, yielded up the ghost. The 9th hour is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So about this time, Jesus cried out the Hebrew words which mean, my God, why hast thou forsaken me?" Did this mean that Jesus really despaired? Some people say that he did, and that this shows he totally partook of his human as well as his divine nature, to suffer despair and a feeling of abandonment just before death. They say it enhances our understanding of his great sacrifice in becoming human to save us. Others, however, point out that this line of Hebrew is the first line of the 22nd Psalm, which goes on to talk about David's reliance on God and his certainty that in future all nations and races will bow down before the Lord. The poor will eat as much as they want, and God will be praised for saving his people. So Jesus could have been reciting a psalm as he was dying, and his focus could have been on the very positive ending of it, not the despondent beginning. And I think it's particularly likely since Jesus didn't actually speak Hebrew in everyday life. He spoke Aramaic, and these words are in Hebrew. It's interesting that the psalm refers to people jeering and to David's clothes being gambled for, as Jesus's were, at the foot of the cross. Jesus could have spent his last few minutes showing that the Old Testament writings referred to him, as he had explained to his apostles several times. His words could have been a message of hope for his followers. But some of the spectators did not recognize the quotation, and they thought that Jesus was calling for Elias, that is, Elijah. Elijah was always an important figure to the Jews, because he had not died. He had gone up to heaven in a chariot. Until the bodily ascension of Jesus, only one other person had escaped death. That was Enoch, the father of Methuselah, of whom it is said, God took him rather than he died. Elijah was expected to return to prepare the way for the Messiah. Jesus had identified John the Baptist as Elijah, but this fact was probably not known to most people. So the people around the cross said, "Let's wait and see if Elijah comes to save him." But there was no miracle to save Jesus from death, since his main purpose in coming was to die for our sins. One aspect of this passage strikes me particularly. That is, that no one seemed to understand what Jesus was saying. You could say, reading the Gospel accounts, that had happened time and time again. And it's still happening. Not only this passage, but many others, give rise to disputes about what was really said, and even more, what was meant by it. But if it's in the Bible, it must be there for our instruction. So what can we get from it to help us now, and to strengthen our resolve to hold fast to our Christian faith? Personally, I find it helpful to realize that this is a quote from Psalm 22, and therefore leads us from despair to joyous affirmation of God's power. And I also find it helpful to realize that it didn't matter whether the other people present understood it or not. As Christians these days, we sometimes feel so out of step with the zeitgeist of the times that we are misunderstood at every turn. Practically everything we say can be taken the wrong way, and is taken the wrong way, by a society which is not only secular, but has a rigid stereotype in mind about Christianity. The generally accepted view in Western society, especially among liberal journalists, is that Christians are canting hypocrites who say they want people to stop having fun, but are secretly having it themselves. Their idea of what constitutes fun would certainly not be ours. Any attempt to talk about Jesus is either taken as an attempt at brainwashing or is simply laughed at. Christians are considered to be living in the Dark Ages and to be out of touch with the modern world. If we realize that Jesus, at the moment of his supreme sacrifice for all humanity, was surrounded by people who misunderstood and laughed at him, then surely we can bear these things on a day-to-day level. Jesus warned the disciples that this would happen. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you.